Hello everyone and welcome to week 14 of In the Huddle, your high school football roundup for the Intelligencer and the Bucks County Courier-Times. I'm Dom Costantino, the football writer for the Intelligencer. With me as always is Kevin Cooney from the Courier-Times. And Kev, here we are, week 14, the fourth week of the playoffs, the Quad A District Championship game, as well as the AAA quarterfinals with, where we've got North Penn playing Ridley in the Quad A Championship game for District 1, and in the state quarterfinal in AAA, Archbishop Wood and Pottsgrove. Kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. We're into the really exciting time of year when you look at it. The District Final is always one of the better things going on, and we'll start actually with the District 1 final between North Penn and Ridley. North Penn coming off a dominating 42-7 win over Pottsgrove last week. Ridley dominating in their game and their win against Downingtown East. Dom, you saw North Penn last week. Is this the best North Penn has looked since that title team back in 2003?
Right now, Kev, I would have to say yes. I think just the way the Knights are moving the ball on offense, I think they have played 3 playoff games where they've scored, I think, on their first 5 possessions in all 3. It was the first 6 possessions last week. Pottsgrove, which was a pretty good team. Remember, they beat Quakertown just a couple of weeks ago, by 4 touchdowns, actually. Put up really no kind of a threat. I mean, and there's been some talk this year that North Penn's line isn't as big, perhaps, as some of the lines that it's had in the past. But it is a fairly big line, number one. And right now, it's playing a very physical brand of football. They were flying off the ball last week against Pottsgrove. It's going to be a very tough challenge, I think, for Ridley, which did limit a pretty good Downingtown East team to 170 yards last week. It's going to be very difficult for them to slow this North Penn offense with all the weapons that they have.
I think the one thing that we all have wondered was, well, Neshaminy had the big line. We felt that would give North Penn problems. It never did. Pottsgrove was super quick. We figured maybe, they would be able to take advantage of some things. That didn't happen. What style can beat North Penn at this point?
I think right now it's an open question. I think nobody really knows what kind of team can beat them because nobody has really stopped them. Remember, they played St. Joe Prep back in week 3. Right. Now, I know the Prep didn't win the Catholic League, but they did beat LaSalle in the regular season. LaSalle is one of the 4 teams in the Eastern bracket still remaining. They play Easton on Saturday in the other game, the other quarterfinal matchup in this end of the state. And that game wasn't close either when North Penn beat the Prep. I mean, they have pretty much handled everybody they faced this year. There really hasn't been a team to slow them down. I'm not so sure there is one out there. Woodland Hills put up a tremendous effort in shutting out Gateway in the District 7 championship game last week. Maybe they can.
Bishop McDevitt's the other team everybody talks about.
Got another team out in District 3, Bishop McDevitt, playing for that championship this week. But just based on what we've seen and all of the weapons North Penn has, Brandon Mercer, now healthy, gives them that other edge. I don't know that there's a team out there that can stop them. And the other big game to talk about this weekend, as we already alluded to, Kevin, Archbishop Wood and Pottsgrove playing in a AAA state quarterfinal game. That one going to be Friday night at 7 o'clock at Northeast High School down in the city. Kev, we kind of got the matchup we thought we'd get, and I think you and I had been talking about this, weeks ago that we'd get this game.
Yeah, it's been this for a number of weeks. We felt this was kind of the way everything was going. Wood, not surprisingly, won District 12 and fairly easily. What I want to see out of Wood, though, is I want to see them cut back on their turnovers. They really had a lot of turnovers early in the Catholic League playoffs against Lansdale Catholic. Did not play exceptionally sharp against North Catholic. They did look sharp in that game against Gratz 2 weeks ago. Have the bye. We're able to get healthy. Jerry Rayhill and Scott Atkins, I think, are the 2 guys you really have to watch for in this game. Rayhill, because Rayhill gives them an option of both running and passing, that he can roll out, and teams have to freeze for just a second to kind of determine what he's going to do. And in that split second, he is very good at picking up tendencies. Kevin Mert also is a big threat as a running back there. Atkins, to me, is a bigger threat defensively because he changes the way teams approach the passing game because he has been so prolific at interceptions the last couple of years.
Okay. It's really the first time, though, that in weeks that we've talked about where Wood kind of goes into a game as a quote-unquote underdog.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that's the product of the Catholic League's division system, the way it is. I mean, the one knock on that we both saw last year when they got out to play Thomas Jefferson was we did not think Wood was really tested well until they played Selinsgrove. Well, this year, they're not going to have that problem. I mean, they're going to get the first big test this week, and if they pass this test, they're going to be on their way, I think. They could beat Selinsgrove. But the problem is they have to find a way to match up physically, and I'm not sure they have the horses to do that necessarily.
And now it's time for Four Downs, America's favorite quick hit segment. And Kevin, the Catholic League going to vote this week on realignment possibly.
Yeah, possibly going back to one league. It's interesting, the fly in the ointment is here. What's going to happen with North Catholic? There's some rumors that the school may stay open now because of an arrangement with the Cristo Rey school program that the Jesuits run that works mainly in inner cities. It's a lot of moving parts right now, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the PCL. If they go back to one champion, there's going to be a lot of calls about inequity in some classes. First in the history of Four Downs, and mea culpa. Last week we said that Bristol-Marsville would be the best Thanksgiving Day of the game of the week. It wasn't. The other three get decided in the final minutes. Dom, what were your thoughts on Thanksgiving?
Well, we couldn't have been more wrong. We picked Bristol-Marsville to be the quote-unquote most intriguing matchup, and of course the game ended up being a 55-20 result, whereas both Penridge Quakertown and Hatboro Horsham and Upper Moreland were decided in the last minute, and Conwell League and Harry S. Truman was only a 7-point game, so we were wrong. Kevin AI back as a Sixer. What's the answer?
I think of AI, I only hear one thing.
Oh, practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
A few teams will be practicing this week as they wrap up to get ready for these big playoff games. North Penn, Ridley, and Wood, Pottsgrove. And don't forget to read all about it in both the Intelligencer and the Courier-Times, as well as on BucksmontSportsNow.com, which you can read about everything on Friday night after both games. And don't forget to listen to the Intelligencer Scoreboard Show on WNPV AM 1440 and WNPV1440.com. For Kevin Cooney, I'm Dom Costantino, wrapping up here on In the Huddle. We'll see you next week.